Okay, so if you're into online gaming at all, you have definitely heard of Roblox. It is a global titan, right? A whole universe of games made by and for this massive community. But the story of how it all got started, well, it's probably not what you're thinking. It doesn't start with some flashy game studio or a brilliant new idea for a game. It starts somewhere, well, a lot more academic.
But before we rewind the clock, let's just take a second to grasp the sheer scale we're talking about today. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of people logging in every single day. It's a legitimate cultural phenomenon and a huge economic force.
So, yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How does something this massive even get started? What was the little spark that managed to light this enormous digital bonfire?
And here's where the story gets really weird. It didn't start with a game at all. The entire foundation for Roblox, the whole thing, was actually built out of the surprising results of an experiment in a virtual physics lab. To really get this, we've got to go back, way back, to the early 2000s. And you have to remember, the gaming world was a totally different place then. Games were these polished, finished products that you bought in a box from huge studios. The whole idea of letting players build the game themselves, that wasn't just unusual, it was basically unheard of. So our story really kicks off with these two guys, Baszucki and Erik Cassel. They were running a company called Knowledge Revolution, and its focus was on making educational software. They weren't trying to make the next big video game. Nope, their whole thing was teaching.
And one of their big programs was something called interactive physics. You can kind of think of it like a digital sandbox for schools. It lets students build virtual machines, drop things, and just see the laws of physics play out right there on their computer. And look, this was designed to be a serious academic tool for homework, for learning. And it was doing pretty well. They were selling this software to schools and universities. But as they watched how people were actually using it, they saw something completely unexpected. And it wasn't what the teachers were doing that caught their eye. It was what the students were doing when nobody was looking.
So on paper, this thing was for simulating physics problems, for class assignments. But what was actually happening was something else entirely. The kids, they were totally ignoring the assignments. Instead, they were just building these insane contraptions, cars, rockets, wild obstacle courses, just for the fun of it. They were turning this boring educational tool into a creative playground. And for the founders, that was the light bulb moment. So, Baszucki and Cassel see this, right? This completely unexpected organic creativity, and it sparks this huge idea. They thought, wait a minute, what if we just leaned into that? What if we built a whole platform designed for this kind of emergent play? That idea was about to change everything for them. So in 2004, they started working on it. The very first version was actually called Dynablocks, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about the concept, right? It took them 2 full years of development before it officially launched in 2006, but with a brand new name.
And yeah, that new name was, of course, Roblox. It's pretty straightforward, just a mashup of the words robots and blocks. Kind of perfect, really. It captured the exact feeling of what they were trying to create. A world where you could build things and then bring them to life.
And this is super important. They never, ever called it a game. That wasn't the point. It was a toolbox. The whole pitch was revolutionary at the time. It was basically, here are the tools, go build whatever you can possibly imagine. Publish it to the platform, and then let other people come and play inside your world. Now, you'd think an idea this cool would be an instant hit, right? A viral sensation overnight? Well, not exactly. The story of Roblox's growth is really a tale of a super slow burn that eventually led to a massive explosion.
For the first several years, Roblox was this tiny niche thing. I mean, the graphics were super basic, they had zero advertising budget to speak of, and, this is a big one, there was no mobile app yet. It was just a small, dedicated community of people on their desktop computers.
But even though the numbers were small, something really powerful was happening under the radar. A genuine community was forming. People weren't just playing games. They were making them, sharing them, collaborating, and talking about them. They were building the entire culture of the platform from the ground up. Okay, so this slow, organic growth goes on for years. And then, a few things happened all at once, and the platform's trajectory went from a slow crawl to a vertical rocket launch. The big game changer? Video platforms. All of a sudden, you had creators on YouTube and Twitch showing off what they were building and playing in Roblox. And it gave the platform this huge, free wave of publicity. And it created this perfect cycle, Kids would see something awesome in a video, jump into Roblox to try it, and then maybe even make their own videos about it.
The community became its own marketing team. Then you add the launch on mobile phones, which put it in millions of more hands, and later on, the explosion on TikTok, and boom! That's how a niche platform goes global.
And all of that brings us to the Roblox we know today, a platform that still runs on a principle that's just completely different from almost everything else out there. It really is a universe built by its users.
Think about it. Most games are made by a big studio. They put it in a box, you buy it, and you play it. That's it. It's a one-way street. Roblox is the exact opposite. The company just gives you the tools. The world itself, all the games, all the experiences, all the stories, that's all built by the players.
And this user-led model is just unbelievably powerful. Just look at some of the biggest games on the planet. Adopt Me, Brookhaven, Jailbreak. These weren't cooked up in some fancy corporate studio. Nope, they were made by independent creators, a lot of them just teenagers in their bedrooms, using the exact same tools that are available to everyone.
And it's not just about creating stuff for fun either. They actually built a whole working economy inside the platform. When creators make popular games or items, they can earn real money from their work. And I'm not talking about a little bit of pocket money. We're talking about millions of dollars. Some of these young creators have literally become millionaires from the games they built, turning a hobby into a full-blown career before they even graduated high school. It's wild. And this quote, I think, just ties it all together perfectly. Right from that first aha moment with the physics software, the point was never to build a game. The point was to give people the tools to build their own realities, their own games, their own worlds. So when you look back at the whole story, Roblox is just this incredible case study. It really makes you ask, what happens when you stop trying to build the world yourself, and instead, you just give the keys to the players? Well, in the case of Roblox, they build you an entire universe,